Edward Cadogan says, the thing I don't get with the narrative of keeping the 3 catchers is how do you expect to improve your roster? We have a surplus at that position, and we need to add more starting pitcher and left-handed / switch hitters. We aren't going to be addressing our needs just by trading low-tier prospects.
So I agree. I couldn't agree more. I know that Ben Ennis was on the show last night, very generous with his time, very thankful for that, and he felt like they're going to do nothing. He truly believes that Gabriel Moreno is going to be carried as a third catcher, kind of ease him into the big leagues, find him some. He kind of was like, everyone talks about Ben Zobrist and how great it is to have a versatile utility player who can play the infield and outfield. But what if you can have a guy who's playing catcher, playing some left, playing some third, playing some second, and how valuable that would be? And he does have a good point. You know what? There is definite value to that sort of versatility. However, you look at this lineup and the redundancy of that DH position is maddening. Right? Like, you need to have Alejandro Kirk in there half the time, maybe more. You need George Springer in there. I mean, my God. Like, George Springer is going to be a part-time right fielder next year, almost full-time DH is my prediction. And I could be full of shit. Adam and I cannot stress enough how little we actually know. But, we followed this team pretty hardcore our whole lives. And when it comes to that DH position, you need in today's game some versatility to move your players through the position. So locking it up with George Springer, even if it's a third of the time, is really limiting what you can do when you have a guy like Alejandro Kirk, who's an incredible hitter, but isn't going to play catcher every single game. He's not. I mean, no catcher does, but Alejandro Kirk, even at 23 with his body type, needs rest. So I think Kirk's the odd man out. I think his value's the highest it's going to be. I think there are teams out there who do feel that he can catch 3 out of 5 games in a rotation, which if that's the case...
Or maybe a team that just doesn't have $150 million invested in a full-time DH already.
There you go.
Right?
Exactly. And... you know what? Again, I forget the commenter's name here, but he does make a good point. And how do you address other areas of need, especially if money isn't going to be increased all that much by Rodgers, right? Because if that's the case, then it's a lot of money swapping, trying to fill needs with areas of strength, which is catching.
Yeah,
Danny Jansen, I'm fully sold. I'm fully sold on Danny Jansen being our full-time catcher if he can stay healthy. I think that he's got the power to do it. His new approach at the plate has been incredible. We've watched his OPS move up to elite level for a catcher. We've seen him hit 15 bombs on less than half a season. This is a guy who manages the pitching staff incredibly well. And yeah, his framing needs work, but there's one more year until robo-umps? Like, literally, framing is going to be a thing of the past. As much as it upsets you and I and all the hardcore baseball fans out there, the skill of catching is going to be less important and more on the offensive output of that position.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I thought Kirk was going to be gone at the trade deadline. Nobody wanted to do it. He just started the All-Star game. His numbers did tail off in the second half of the year. Good, not great, is how I would describe his second half. We can't, if we didn't have George Springer, it would be a different conversation.
Yeah.
I know the pushback, and like Ben got into this yesterday, and the people that I've heard who are defending Alejandro Kirk is saying, well, you need 3 catchers. If this year showed us anything, it's that you need 3 catchers. You don't need 3 elite catchers.
Yeah.
Like, if we got to put in
Chris Beck, our boy.
Chris Beck for 20 games, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Right? So,
especially if you've got Danny Jansen, who's creating offense at a higher than average level at the position, especially if you've got Gabriel Moreno, who can even just do what he did this year, which isn't necessarily give more offensive value, but at least break even. And then if your third catcher is a guy who just comes up and calls a really good game and has played 10 years in the minor leagues, Chris Beck, right? I think that's fine. Whose third catcher is the best prospect in baseball? Like, we're talking about an embarrassment of riches at this position, and I absolutely agree with the commenter that the Blue Jays should be using that area of strength to bolster areas of need.
And again, nothing against Alejandro Kirk. Love what he did for us this year.
Absolutely.
There are going to be uncomfortable changes. Maybe you're a Lourdes Gurriel fan, and he's not here next year. You know, maybe you're an Espinal fan. He was an all-star this year. Everybody loved Espinal.
Maybe you're a Danny Jansen fan and they go that route. I know I'll be upset, but like, listen, something's got to give. I don't think you can continue to roll out with this DH position so gummed up.
And then you still want to use it as the like alternating half day off for everybody else to give guys that half day off. I don't know. The way our roster's constructed, DH is so gummed up right now. All right. Last one here, and then we're out of here. That's a quick one, Scott. The Power of Myth says Mariners or Astros. Who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting for in that series, and who are you rooting for the rest of the way in the playoffs?
I'm bitter, but not so bitter that I'm going to cheer for the Astros. I'm hoping the Mariners take that series. I don't think they will. I personally think they probably get swept, but I hope they don't. I'm my team right now that I'm hoping wins is the Guardians. I love Cleveland. I love the way that team is constructed. Jose Ramirez is such a stud. I love the pitching. The bullpen is just incredible. They've got that Emmanuel Clase is just, if he's not the best closer in baseball, he's a top 2-3 guy for sure, especially with the fall of Josh Hader. I mean, just everything, the way they put the ball in play, the way that they're so defensively sound, how they constantly win 2-1, 3-2 games. It's just an impressive team. And I love Terry Francona.
They outraised the Rays.
They outraised the Rays.
I'm right there with you. I think 2 for 2 on that. I'd take the Mariners over the Astros. I don't think it'll happen, but that's my preference. And I think I'd rather cheer for the Guardians the rest of the way.
And National League, go Padres.
Yeah, go Padres. Why not? They're the Blue Jays of the NL, so go Padres. Thanks everybody for sticking around for 80 minutes through this mailbag.
This was
I know
a
it was a
long
long one. 40 plus of you in the live chat right now. Appreciate all the likes and the interaction in the live chat.
Super chats. Thank you very much. A tip for the hat.
Before we go, I do want to just clarify, we have started a second channel here. So if you like the long form version of this video, that is going to stay here on this channel unchanged. We are going to be, I think what we were kind of doing over the last month, taking our stuff, putting it into more bite-sized portions, but those are now going to go to our second channel. So if you're interested in consuming this in 10 to 15 minute chunks instead, go check that channel out and subscribe over there. Appreciate it.
It's brand new. We started this yesterday. So if you are a fan of the channel, please go subscribe to the other one. Right now we're sitting at 0 or whatever subscribers. So every little bit helps there, but it is a much more consumable way of watching the program is in 10, 15 minute chunks. So feel free to do it that way. We really appreciate you. Much love to all our Patreon. Honestly, truly mind blowing how supportive all of you are. Adam's got the list of names here. And if not, he's going to scramble really quick to grab
I've got the list of names. Patreon.com/The Walk-Off Podcast. Big thanks to Kyle, Joey, Patrick, Wyatt, John, Dunedin, Bob, Abraham, Michael, Sarah, John, Rashid, Joshua, Jeremy, and Ian. Thank you. We are going to keep the content coming all off season long.
We really appreciate all of you within the walk-off community. This thing continues to grow and become an animal of its own. It's a little bit overwhelming, but honestly, we love talking Blue Jays baseball and all the interaction that you folks are involved with us. Thank you so much. Discord, feel free to join it. That is always free. The show, or the link is in the show notes. You can follow us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And if you are watching on YouTube currently and you're not subscribed, we'd really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. All the best, everybody. Cheers.